Okay, now that you have these two put together, like I said, you might want to go ahead and make you can make the flap that comes over it if you'd like. I want to leave mine open for this album. And then I took my page. So you're going to want to take your page, and this is going to be the hinge side. So we have hinge side, mat side. Let me bring this down. And I'm going to find the halfway mark. So it's 7 1/4. So 7 3/4 is my half page. And what I'm going to do is I'm just first going to lay these down, and I want a little bit of maybe like 1/8 of an inch at the top, and then you want space in between them, and kind of let get a good eye view of where you're wanting them to be. Actually, I'm going to put the bottom one, I'm going to put right up to there, and then I'm going to put this one right up to the top. And if you notice, it's going to look like there's a little space there, and there is, but you need that for this hinge to go back and forth when you're moving these. So let's go ahead and give a slight taper to our page. And we're going to start with the bottom. Being that this is so small, I'm just going to take the score tape all the way off. I'm going to turn this, and I'm going to put it at the bottom. And then this one, I'm going to turn this so it's more towards me. Move the score tape. And this one's going to be up at the top. Make sure it's not upside down. Whoops, yep, I almost did a big boo-boo. Okay, now I still have the look of these two pockets, but I don't have to take my hinge and split it. I don't like to do that, no matter, how do I word this? No matter how much or how strong your hinges are, the wear and tear where you've cut the hinge down the middle is it'll wear on it. So I like this much better, actually. Now on the back side, we're going to need our magnets, unless you don't, mind your page not being held down. Let me get my 4 magnets. And up on this scoreboard, there's a little magnet up here. I just love it. So, you just want to put your magnets there where you won't lose them. It holds on to them for you. Okay, so our first set. Again, we want to make sure it's pretty much in the middle, so we know that it's going to be well hidden underneath your matting. And they don't have to be even or perfect. Good rub down. Like I said, just kind of go at an angle, and it won't mess up your score tape. I'm going to go ahead and put another piece of score tape right on top. There we have our page with the pockets. So like I said, you can leave yours. I am going to leave mine. You can go ahead and make a flap. So if you do, just decide how long do you want it to be over the front. So you'd probably want 1 3/4 of an inch, or let's say 1 1/2. Then you're going to add that 1/2 inch because you have to score it, and then you're going to put it onto the back. with your 1/2 inch, and it will come over the top. Well, might help if I keep in camera. So if you decide that you do want to put an envelope type closure, that's what you can do next. Now for this part of the page, it's totally up to you if you want to leave it, but you know what, looking at it, I think that I do want to put a pocket on the inside. So again, our page is 7.5, so we need to cut about a 2.5, and I don't want it to be a huge pocket, so I'm going to go 7 or 8.5 by 2.5. And I'm cutting it just an 1/8 short of 8.5. And then I want it to sit right inside there. So let's move that, and then let's do our scoring on the 3 sides. I'm just going to double check my length. Okay, it looks good. And do our trimming. If you've never, if you've been taught, or maybe you just like to do the whole album and then decorate it, then after we make our pages, of course, you know, you'll go, I'm going to go ahead and decorate mine where they're not in the book, is what I'm trying to say, because again, I find it easier too if I mess up on the page. I don't have to ruin my book. And also it lays flat, and I like to work on flat surfaces when matting. Okay, so now I'm going to have a neat little pocket inside, and then that will be down. And if you're using the large magnets, it's going to adhere nicely. And now on the back side is we're going to make a huge pocket, and we're going to make the flap down and the flap over. And it's going to look like, oh, and these envelopes, I am going to make them to go on the back of the little pockets we just made, and I'll show you how to make those too with your envelope punch board. So now we're going to make this little pocket. Well, it's actually a big pocket and lots of matting room. And we want to start with making sure our hinges at the right way. So we're going to start with the pocket. So we want to make, let me move this, I don't know why we're not, okay. So we want to make the nice big pocket, and at the top there was only about a 3-inch, well in this one we're only going to have about a 2-inch gap. So we're going to cut it at 8 by 8. So we need to cut an 8 by 8 piece. Now, see, I just told you wrong. Oh no, this is for our pocket. Sorry. That's right. I still told you wrong. Oh yeah, it's way too long. This is where I need to think for a minute. So it should be 6 by 8. Sorry about that. So just cut it back down to 6. And we're going to go ahead and score on 3 sides. Like I warned you, this is what happens when you work with me from start to finish when I don't have patterns. It's a learning experience, that's for sure. So we want our pocket to go on first. Now I'm going to check things here. And that looks good. You know what they say, measure twice, cut once. Well, I usually measure twice and cut twice. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and miter our corners. And then this corner. I like using my scoreboard also. It kind of helps contain my mess. I don't have pieces and parts going all over my desk. Okay, so we now want to line this up. Now it's a bigger pocket, so I'm going to just take off that top part for right this moment because I want to make sure things fit. For some reason they do not. We're just going to go ahead and take the whole thing off. There we go. For some reason I can't get this on straight. There we go. Just trying too hard. Okay, so there's our big inside pocket. Now for the outside, we're going to cut. So we cut this down to 5.5. So we're going to cut another piece that is 7 by 6. And I'm pretty sure this time. Now on the 7-inch side, I did cut it again. I cut it 1/8 of an inch shorter, just so it meets up perfectly on the sides. And looks great. So I'm going to score. Hold on. Okay, on the 7-inch side, or 6-inch side, sorry. So on this 6-inch side, that's going to be our bottom. So I don't know why I can't keep that in. There we go. So on this 6-inch side, I'm going to score 1/2 of an inch. Hold that up. Now let's taper these corners off just a little bit so it'll look nice and neat under your matting. And then we're going to match up here on the bottom. You'll notice your page is getting pretty thick down there because of your other one. That's okay. So, looks good. Now we need to make our flap that comes over. And this is a little bit longer flap in the front. So I'm going to cut it 4 1/2. It's going to be 4 1/2 inches long by 7 inches wide. And remember, cut that 7/8, or yeah, just 16 to 1/8 of an inch off the side. So once again, I'm going to cut it 4 1/2 by 7. And there's our piece. And then on this side here, we're going to just score it on the 4 1/2 inch side at 1/2. And I can tell you, and I can bet at this point into this album, you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, this is so much easier than I thought. Making these flaps and pockets is not really hard at all. And once you get an idea of the general mechanisms, you'll be designing your own albums in no time. So I'm going to turn this around so my flap is going down, because I like to work with things that are when it's closest to me so I can get things straight. I'm going to put my flap down. And again, I'm going to leave it, my ends are going to be just squared. And as you can see now, you've got a nice hidden pocket. It doesn't even look like there's a pocket there, but we're going to need the magnets. So again, preferably 2 large ones, or it's never going to hold through this many layers of paper. And I do want to kind of get an eyeball here so that I make sure that when I put the magnet here, I can put it far enough down here that it's not towards the edge. And I'm just going to take a look, put a little mark. So I've done a little mark there, and I'm just going to cover that with my magnet. Pull that off to the side a little bit so I don't pull it off that score tape. Now when you mount your pages, we do remove the score tape. Okay, so there we have our little pockets, and we're going to make some small envelopes with our pattern paper when we get to that point. They'll be really cute on the back here. Pocket. And then we have the flap down, and our big pockets. So that's page 3. Now one thing too, in my albums, I only do 5 pages. Okay, that's our first one. I do 5-page albums, and I still do 1/2 inch gusset because it leaves plenty of room for lots of decorating and a lot of mats. Now page 4. So we did away with this pocket here. Let me see something really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So did I skip over a page? So we have our pocket, which is pocket 1. Then we did that one. That one's considered as 3. Oh, we put 4 on the back. So you know what? Let's go ahead, and we will be using our pockets still. So our next page is going to be this pocket on one side and this, so we've kind of got things just reversed a little bit is all. One thing I think we'll do is we'll change the orientation of the pocket. We're going to do a little different. So let's go ahead and cut our page the 7 by 7.5. Now, since I'm going to do another side pocket, see, I've already changed on you. I apologize. This is what I do. We're going to do a side pocket, and then we're going to do a flap that comes over the long way. So let's go ahead and make our pocket a little bit longer. So we're going to cut it 8.5 by 5.5. So we need another piece, 8.5 by 5.5. Okay, yours is going to be 8.5 probably by 5.5. I'm going to go ahead and leave mine at 8 by 5. I didn't want to waste this piece of paper, and it was already cut. But if you've already cut yours at 5.5, that's okay too. Just, yeah, leave that and go ahead and do your scoring on your 3 sides. Because the reason I'm changing this, let me tell you, where I left off those other pockets and they were actually a page themselves, we're going to have to come up with another page, which is fine, but I have to have a hinge, and my hinge was actually on that other pocket, so that's okay. We're just going to do a little designing as we go. And it'll still be very close to this other album. And one other reason is if we do the pockets like I did in the Christmas Carol, well, those are larger pages and our pockets are going to be quite small where I cut it down. So when you're doing pockets like that, I usually like to do bigger albums, because then you have more room to build pockets and specialty items like that. Because when they're small, it's just really hard to get anything into them. I just did something really off. This is wrong. Okay. Back up. We'll set that aside. I'll take that. So now for this one, we're going to go ahead and cut our page 5 by 8. 5 by 8.5. Sorry. Okay, now all you want to do, because we need this as a hinge, we're going to go ahead and score it 1/2 inch. Now, if for some reason you do want this to look identical to the other album, what you need to do is let's go ahead and put the side pocket, and if you want, you know, I think that's what we'll do. I think it's all fixed.